great and wonderful and beautiful Marie Macon. Spectacular. So this is called Ritual 17. It Takes an Hour. That's the title. Money seems to avoid me in some mysterious way. So what else should I do? Waiting for my check to be cashed. But use a large Hispano Olivetti and its outsized carriage sitting in the middle of the floor. First, though, they recognized me from similar occasions. The check had some kind of stamp across the face, and they said I had to open an account. Okay, so I agreed I would open an account if I had to. Why not? Then draw out most of the money, right? I had the account almost open. All those questions and answers and signatures. I was even enjoying it. The chica filling out the forms filled out a pretty tight sweater herself. Good legs and lovely breasts resting lightly on the desk as she bent her forms to those forms. Then, this damn vice president comes back to tell me he got permission to pay me in cash. I tried to look grateful. So she tore up all that paper and I had to settle for a nice smile and the bust measurement instead of a good, solid banking relationship. But they weren't through with me yet. Had to sign it twice myself. Por motivo de turismo, that horror. Then the vice president, then a clerk, then another official of some sort. The whole damn check is covered with signatures, passport number, addresses, verifications. Then I wait some more. The authorization arrives back. Even then, the window of varios pajos takes 3 people ahead of me. So I sit and write the first poem I've ever written in a bank. It is a lovely typewriter and a handsome type. Perhaps I should come here to write all my poems. But the stone found me in bright sunlight around 9th and Stuyvesant Streets, and found, if not a friend, at least a traveling companion. Kicking, we crossed 3rd Avenue, then Cooper Square, avoiding the traffic in our oblique and random way. A cab almost got him, and I had to wait a few seconds, crowding in from the triangular portion edged about with signs, Safety Island, crossed Lafayette, him catching between the cobbles, then with a judicious blow from the toes of my foot, right, well, a soccer kick aiming for height, we cleared the curb and turned left down Lafayette. That long block with a wide sidewalk and plenty of room to maneuver in over metal cellar doorways or swinging out toward the curb edge. The low-worn curb at 4th was a cinch to make, and at Great Jones Street the driveway into a gas station promised no impediment. But then he rolled suddenly to the right, as though following an old gentleman in a long coat, and at the same time I was addressed by a painter I know and his girl on their way to Washington Square. And as I looked up to answer, I heard the small sound. He had fallen in his run into water gathered in a sunken plate which they lift to tighten or loosen, something to do with the city water supply, I think, and sank out of sight. I spoke to Simeon and Dee about a loft, and it turned out he hadn't gotten, but felt so desolate at having lost him, the stone that is. They didn't stay long. I looked at the puddle, explained we'd come all the way beyond Cooper Square. They hurried away. I suppose I could have used my hands, picked him up out, and continued. He'd have been dry by the time we got home, but just as I decided to abandon him, the sun disappeared. I continued on down Bleecker finally, a warm front moving in from the west, the cirrus clouds clotting into alto cumulus, sun seeping through as the front thickened, but not shining. The air turned cool, and there were pigeons circling over the buildings at West Broadway, and over them a gull. A young man with a beard and torn army jacket walked a big mutt on a short leash, teaching him to heel. The mutt was fine, trotting alongside, nuzzling lightly at his master's chino pants. The young man smiled. The dog smiled too. And on they went. They had each other. I had left him there in the puddle. Our game over. No fair using hands, I had told myself. Not that he could have smiled. The sun gone in. He had been shaped like a drunken pyramid.